welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. We're back at it. You watched us prime the Fiero yesterday. Basically what's going on is I'm going to leave it bake in the sun. I'm going to turn on the oven and we're going to bake it to about 80, 85 today. We're just going to bake the primer on there so it's good and hard. I put a lot of primer on the front of the hood, so I want it to dry good. And why we're leaving this out here today and let it bake, would you look at that? That's what Aiden drove to work today. 1978 Lincoln. Less than 100,000 kilometers on her. Isn't that thing badass? He came in with the wrong hat. He had a Hiltz hat on. He should have had a pimpin' hat. That's quite a badass car. Take a look at it if you like. Jolene will walk around it. It's black and beautiful. Black with a black vinyl top and crushed velvet red interior. Wow. How long have you owned this, Aiden? Or how long have your family owned this?
Coming on 10 years, I think.
All right, wow. Aiden has driven to work in some fancy cars, and from now on, every time he shows up with a different car, we're going to put him on film. Jolene will take you a walk around it, and then we'll tell you what we're going to do today. So today, the Fiero is going to take a break and get some sun and bake the primer. And outside here in the light, you really can see the marks that need to be fixed. Or I can, anyways. It's a little better lighting going on. Look, you can see right here. I can see right here where it's not feathered good enough with the paint. So I'm going to have to fix that. And there's a couple stress marks in it we might fix. We'll see what goes on, but we're going to leave it there. But today, Aiden's in. It's his first day and his only day this week. We got the hood off the Jaguar. We pulled out an old 350 or 305 out of the back. We put a transmission on the back of it. It's just an automatic transmission. I'm thinking of the steering column that Benny Riviera sent into us. That's what I'm thinking. That's be a beautiful steering column. But I'm thinking we're going to put a 350 in this. And yeah, I just think that's what we're going to do. We're going to put a 350 in it. It's the easiest thing to do. Got a cheap engine for it. It's a cheap car, and why not? This is also what I want to show. We're going to do this right in front of your very eyes because Jolene's going to film me and Aiden putting an engine in it and making the mounts for a 350. Basically, this is what I do. I buy the mounts and the cross member from Speedway, and then we're going to pull the front end off. We're going to pluck the engine in where we want it. You cut off the pipe exactly where you want it inside the chassis, and it's over. Like, it's that easy. The transmission mount is back here. We haven't got that on right now, but we'll put that in there so we can mount it up somewhere. I just want to see where it fits in the Jaguar and how it's going to fit. We had a Jaguar out front, the burgundy one. I started that up yesterday, and that thing, it started up good, it ran good. I even took it for a drive. Went up the road yesterday, the transmission worked good in it, the engine worked good in it, good oil pressure, had 70 pounds oil pressure. The transmission shifted nice. So what I'm thinking is, when I dropped it off down the road, I said, you boys want to rip this thing apart? And he said he can do anything. And I said, oh, well, take the front end out of it, take the engine out of it, take the rear end out of it. Let's take it all apart. Do not cut or destroy anything because I'm going to use everything. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to use the front end of the Jaguar, it's an 84 I think it is. So I'm going to use the front end of the Jaguar. I'm going to put it in this car. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it in this car. The rear end, I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do with that. And the engine and transmission is going to go in Jolene's car. I see no reason why not. The engine worked awesome on the way down. I'm going to get them to do a compression test on it to make sure that it's all up in compression in every cylinder, and we're going to go from there. So while the Jaguar is getting ripped apart, getting that done, me and Aiden are going to tear the front end off this Jaguar. We're going to slide in the small block Chevy into this with the cross member. We're going to try to get it in place. Then there's some more work that has to be done to this car. I'd like to sandblast the firewall and get it put in there and know where we're going. I've got a lot of ambition in my brain that I want to do, and this is one of them for right now. I just want to stick that in there to see what's going on. I'm going to end up painting the Fiero fairly quick, or not fairly quick, as time rolls along here, we'll get it in probably tomorrow and fix all the little places on it. We're going to end up painting that, and then I'm going to cruise on to something else. I'm not sure where I'm going, but the cars will tell me what I have to do, and we'll just do it that way. Elvis still sitting in the paint room. That has to come out. That has to go onto a table because I want to paint the underneath of it. Jolene's car, we've got an engine for it, so we are going to go forward on Jolene's car. Summer's coming, and we're going to try to get a lot done. That's what I'm thinking. Jolene's car needs to go down on that table, and I'm excited to get the Jaguar engine back because then we can paint it and put it into the chassis, and that means her car can go down on. Big things are going to happen soon because that's what I want to happen. But right now, this is what we're going to do. We're going to pull the front end off of this, try to slide that engine in. We're going to slide that engine in there and the transmission and figure out where it's going to go. It might be premature where we don't have the front end there yet, but what I'm thinking is we're going to shove the engine so far back in that it does not matter. I like how the firewall is so far back in this thing that I'm thinking that we can get the engine quite a ways back and it's not going to affect anything anyways. So let's go for it. So we're going to make some noise taking the front end off. Aiden is going to, he's got a wrench. Just wrench some bolts out on the top of the fender on each side, Aiden.
All right.
You can start back there and do them ones. I'm going to come up front here and air some out. There's a wrench for you, old brother.
Thank you.
No problem. Let's do it. So we're going to take some fenders off. Actually, yeah, go ahead.
All right.
That's not the one I want. It's got the 9/16 on it. We'll take this fender off together. How's that?
Sounds good.
I think this car is just put back together lightly. And what I mean by lightly is just a few nuts and bolts in it. I'm going to get not sure all the bolts in this, what's coming to take it off, but that's what we're doing and that's what we do. I've got a little pry bar with a tooth missing, and I wonder where it's at. That's the hard one. That's the hard one. It's got a blue handle on it. This little one here, I've got this one here, and it's not so big, but I don't know where it's at, Aiden. I couldn't find it, but I'll just put this on here and pry that out. Probably zip cut it off, be the easiest. I zip cut everything. That come off. One of these here. Any bolts inside? Ooh, there you go. Ouch. Bit me. You want to take the back part of that, Aiden? Take the back part of it. We got the front part. I'm thinking that we can get that off there. Take this out. Come on out there. Bungee cord. All right, watch your fingers when you get taking it off or pulling it off. Just watch your fingers. Not sure if anything's connected. All right, Aiden, you want to take the front?
Yeah.
I'll wiggle the back and see what's going on. That now, would you? All right, that's my first jag fender. Now we'll see the truth on this bad boy. We'll take it out. We'll just lay it down. Well, we know one thing for sure. It's had a piece put in there. And it's had a piece put in there. Seems to be all right, I guess. Seems to be okay. Seems like a piece of tin welded there that wasn't finished. It's a good thing that we took it off. I'm just kind of wondering what's going on there. Anyways, that's not what we're concerned about right at the present moment. You can see where all the holes were welded up in the car. You can see all the wire that's coming out. Got a little piece welded in there. We'll have to take the welder and finish that off, finish welding that, because that's not welded there. But anyways, that's what we're going to do. And we'll undercoat everything. I'll roll this over this way. We don't want to hurt the bodywork. I don't think we do anyways. So that's the fender in all our glory. Feels good. Alrighty. Inner fender is part of the front end, so that's going to stay there for now. I see that this goes on like that. I think this was drilled off, or yeah, I think. So the inner fender was spot welded on. It's kind of weird. Not weird, but you see that they drilled it all off. Not sure what's going on there, but I think what I would do is I would leave it like that. I'd weld up some of the holes, and I'd put holes in it so you could bolt it off and on, is what I think. That's what I would do. You know what I mean? So you could unbolt it, because it seemed like it had spot welds on there. That's what all the holes are for. It looks like they drilled it off here, unspotted it. I think I'd drill holes and bolt it on. We're going to take this fender off on this side. Where's it? Yeah, take off the bolts there. That bad boy? Oh, you just put it on and pull the trigger. Okay. Isn't that beautiful?
That is very convenient.
I don't use it much, but once in a while. Just make sure the fender don't fall. I'm going to take this grill off. Look at that now, would you? That sucker's heavy, believe it or not. It's not too bad. Set that aside. This fender kind of come off, is it? Any bolts back? Take the front again, Aiden?
Yeah.
Pull out. See you're hooked on something up front?
Yeah, hooked on the front somewhere. There we
Hey.
go. Thank you.
There you go. There's that one. We'll set this one over here, I guess. What the heck? I'm sure this is the same way. This one, we'll have to check it out as we get it off. We'll check it out, what's going on with it. Yeah. It's been something now, that fender there, where it's tucked underneath there. You paint that all up and do that and have that not welded there. You know what I mean? Like it's what can I say?
Not quite finished.
All right. Look at that. This front end's ready to come off. Just unbolt this. Two different bolts, obviously. This is a 5/8. You want to grab a couple 5/8?
Yeah.
It's 1/2 inch on this one. That's something. The bolt is 9/16 and the nut is 1/2 inch. Nice.
What?
Does that fit that?
Too big.
5/8 is too big?
Yeah.
9/16 then?
You got one? I got one. There's one right there.
5/8.
Yep, 9/16.
What about the bottom one? What's that? 9/16 too? Grab another one.
Okay.
Or actually just grab this.
Alright.
It coming off my hand?
Yeah.
Look at that now, would you? Didn't even need it. Okay, let's pull this off. Never taken a Jaguar before. You can see this is all spot welded together down here, so it wasn't meant to come off. Fender must bolt on in there. Seems like a pretty nice setup, but it was spot welded back there, so let's just be careful with it. Yeah. Someone sandblasted. Let's take it back there by the back fender.
Gotcha.
Somebody sandblasted it and spent some time on it. And I may. Now we can put the bolts in the doors. That's nice. we can bolt the door up. So the door was not working before. Remember, it was all the bolts in the door. It only had one bolt in it, so we'll put all the bolts in the door. So they get look at the size of the hinges on that, would you? Come take a look at the hinges on that door. Like that hinge right there is something that I'm not sure. Like, wow. That's quite a hinge. Oh yeah. Imagine. Anyways, this is the front end of the car. Never seen a front end of a 59 Jaguar before. What I will say is we have a torsion bar front end. What this piece here, this rod is here, it's a torsion bar which holds the front end up. The bar is put in and it's twisted for the spring. There's no spring involved. You see no spring in this thing, so there's no spring in front of this car. It's a torsion bar thing. Anytime you see a bar running back like that, it's called a torsion bar. Also, I'm not sure what they were doing there. They were planning on putting some kind of aftermarket, probably 350, some kind of aftermarket engine in it. And that's not aftermarket. I'm thinking some kind of different engine in it. I don't know why I said aftermarket, but whatever. I'm just going to put them there. We're going to slide this aside. We're going to pull these off. You didn't know I was that strong, did you? Just going to pull them off. What a beautiful chassis on this thing. That's what I can say. They were just tacked on there, probably for mock-up. They just didn't get there far enough. I'm sure that the owner of the car probably said, "That's it. I do not want to play with it anymore." And basically, I'll bet you that it overwhelmed them with the amount of work that had to be done to make what they wanted to make. You know what I mean? Like, once you get all the body work done and all the filling going on, there was a lot of filling going on in this car. All the holes had to be welded up. It probably became too big of a project. Let's pull this stuff out of the way. I'm going to grab the jack. Grab the jack there, Aiden. Let's bring the jack over. We'll probably slide the jack underneath the front end of the car. Jack it up on this part here, Aiden. We're just going to pull the front end over. Jack it up. So we're just going to show how easy it is to put a 305 or a 350 into something with the mounts that we have. All we're going to do is jack the engine up, the transmission up. I sort of like, I like these projects where they're torn apart, and the reason being is, so in the center of those two things, the reason being is it's already been tore apart. Look at that, it had disc brakes in 1959. Wow. Keep going, jack it right up off the ground. We're going to pull it over that way. But when you get something tore apart like this, how we got the fenders off, if the fenders weren't unbolted and taken off before, the time we would have. Just imagine the time we'd have just undoing all the spot welds to get the front end off. It's already been done. Someone has taken the time and spent that money and done that. We're just going to keep an eye on the back there, Aiden. So watch, sweetheart. Actually, you take this jack, we're going to pull it over this way. I just want to watch the back of the car so we don't hit the wall. Beautiful. All right, that's what we're going to do. We'll leave it like that. You can drop your jack, drop front end. We'll do it slowly if possible. Cool. So we have, she's wide open there. She's wide open, so we're going to pick the engine up. We're going to slide the engine and transmission in there. I want to see, we're going in automatic on this one. We're not going anything other than automatic, I don't think. That there. Perfect. Let's slide this bad boy around. I'm going to move this fender again. And it's good to have the fenders off because we can fix and do whatever we have to do to those underneath of them. Let's pull this, try to get this situated so you can get that engine in here. You might have to do a couple funny things, but that's what has to happen. You probably have to go all the way over and then push it over here and then get your rear end over there. A second. A bit. Yeah, you can push it ahead and try to get your rear end over where it needs to be. Yeah, keep coming.
Keep going a little bit. Alright. Let's watch the fender.
Just go over. Take your ass end over. We got it, or we got to just pull back. We got to turn the engine around. Let's jack it up and see if we get this engine turned around. Should be very careful doing stuff like this because you can really get hurt easily. I'm gonna try to level that out. I'm not sure which way that is. Is that leveling out, Aiden? Looks like it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Jolene looks amazing today. She got a nice tan on, boys. She got a nice tan. Looking like a Werther's. She got a nice tan on. Now I look like a chicken. Alright, Aiden.
A little bit higher?
What do you think? That'll go in over that, won't it?
I think so.
Alright, you get your ass, do whatever you have to do on the ass end that to get that poked in there, and then we'll go from there. I'm thinking that you're going to have to get that ass end over there more, but go ahead.
Get her over this way more.
Over this way, yeah. Let's shove her in there. Keep her going.
Turn her a bit.
Are we hitting anything?
No.
I'm going to go underneath the bridge. All right, go for it. Keep coming back. Look at that now, would you? We're done.
She's in.
All right, let's move this. Move that tunnel. Does not matter where the tunnel is. Let's keep coming back.
Keep going.
Keep coming back. All right. Now, I'm just going to, you want to hold that just away from the car a little bit. I'm going to let it down just a little bit. I'm not generally the best at this, but it's better for me to drop it than you.
She's going.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I just want to see. Maybe I should angle it back some more.
And drop the transmission in down first.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking. That's not on there right. That doesn't matter. Just crank that sucker there.
Which way? This way?
I'm not sure yet. The other way. So we're just going to angle the transmission back a little bit. We got that hole down inside the chassis. I'd like to get the yoke of the transmission down inside that there, because when we lower the car, the drive shaft will not move. Well, it'll move a little tiny bit if the drive shafts, if the end of the drive, or if the end of the transmission, if we can get it in that little tunnel, when we put the drive shaft in, if it goes up or down, if we lower the car, it's really not going to hit anything because there's not much movement there. Like you can have 6-inch travel in the back, you might get half-inch movement up front. Like it's kind of what I'm thinking. If we can get that transmission, the end of the transmission back in there, in that hole, well then when we lower the car in the back, there's not going to be much movement on the end of the transmission, on the yoke. I'm not going to leave that there because I'm going to...
Keep going?
Yeah,
I
keep
want to
going.
get it down in there.
I want to go lower it down a bit, yeah. I ruined it when I changed it.
Just making adjustments.
So basically, it's pretty easy to understand that if we want to put this in here, wherever it fits, we just cut them off and weld it in there. Then we undo the bolts from the mounts, pull the engine out, and then when we put the engine back in, that's where it fits. Pretty nice, actually. All right, let's try that for a second. I'm going to lower the engine down some. I want to get the engine over some. If you want to hold it from catching on something,
Yeah.
I'm going to try to get it over some. So we're more in the center. Somewhat. All right. we want to go, basically what I'm thinking, Aiden, this is what I'm thinking, just out loud.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm going to have to cut more out of there. I like to get, I'm thinking I like to have this bar be back here, is what I'm thinking. I'm not sure yet. Behind this piece anyways. It could land right on this piece, I don't know, but to get that transmission back in there, I'm thinking that if we got this bar here laying on that,
That would do.
that would make me happy. But I'm thinking that this has to be cut. Does it not look, does it look like it has to be cut? Sort of. And I can cut it. Just
It's tight on the other side too, eh?
let's push it back far as we can, but just try to keep it straight. We're hitting on both sides, are we? We're hitting on both sides.
Yeah.
So I'm going to cut some more of that out. On this car, the pedal seems to be way forward from here. Like this is the cow. The pedals are way up here. This is where the pedals are, way up here. It's kind of weird. And that's all can be moved back, obviously. We're making a custom car, so you can do anything you like. I'm going to take and cut that off. I think they welded that in there, to be honest with you. And I'm going to cut the other side off to get that back in there. I'm going to take a look. They did too. Them pieces have been well tacked in there. And I want them off. I wonder if, just run the plasma cutter up there and run each one off.
Just go follow this seam.
Just cut that off. Here we go. We're going to move this. Bum, 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 bum. Surgery's coming. A bit of surgery. You can see on the inside there, baby, if you want to go and show the people at home what's going on. There's a piece. If I get a ground off that or not. Thank you, Aiden, for doing that, hooking that air up. There's a piece right here, and it's been welded on the inside of the car. They've welded it a piece on the inside of the car, and I'm not wanting it there. Okay. We're going to pull the engine back out, Aiden, just so I can get at it a little bit better.
Yeah.
I don't think. Just keep her straight, so we're just going to pull that out. I'm going to put my glasses on. I had my glasses here earlier.
Right there. Just in the car.
Good thing I got Aiden around. He driving a Lincoln today. Badass Lincoln. Crushed velvet red interior. Must feel like going to sleep when you drive that thing, don't you?
Oh, she's cushy.
She's cushy. I'm kind of thinking a better ground. They just got that tacked on there too, but I'll cut it off. Beautiful.
Wow, cool. I'll reach the other side.
You hand that to me. Don't turn it on or anything. Be careful with it. Hand it to me. I'll cut the other side off. Thank you.
Gotcha.
Cycle.
Go this way.
Alright, let's do it again. Let's see if we can get it in there. I don't know what side you want to go on, don't matter to me. Aiden don't want to listen to that air. All right, now we're going in as far as we can go. I want to get the bar in behind that front end if we can, if I hit anything. Yep. See the wire down there, Aiden? Down there at the bottom of the wheel?
Okay.
Of the wheel? No, the wheel of the hoist.
This.
Nope. On the wheel, the hoist. Look down there. Just move that way, please.
Gotcha.
Perfect. Then I can slide it in a little further. All right. I want to see where the transmission is. If you can let go for a second, see how close the transmission is to that. You take a look at it. See how close it is to that hole.
Oh yeah.
That's where I want to go. So what I'm saying is, if the transmission's in that hole, when I put a drive shaft in it, and I lower the rear end, I like to come down to 6 inches or more. The drive shaft's not going to move much at that pivot point. It's going to move back further by the seat.
Okay,
the back
because
seat
it's tucked in there.
Yeah, because it's in that. Well, there's less movement there.
Yeah, less room for it.
Right. So I'm going to. We got that. Hitting the distributor yet? Close to it. I'm going to let it down. What's that? Hitting the distributor? We're hitting the distributor. I want to see if I can get in behind, right in behind this, right here, Aiden. See what we can do.
Try and get the pipe behind it. Okay.
I'm going to let it down some. All right, I'm going to let it down some. You keep an eye on that drive shaft or the tail shaft of the transmission, and we'll maybe have to. Just want to check it out for a second.
Yeah, come on, the peak. It's getting low.
Alrighty. So basically, we're going to probably flatten out this thing.
Yeah.
To make it
low down enough.
I would like to see it as low as possible in that hole. If you know what I'm trying to say, I think I would. I'll go down a little bit lower. Okay, let's do the wrench on this thing, and I'll just hold it here a little bit.
Which is this way, I think.
Yeah. You can. The firewall has already been modified, so if we have to modify it more to do what we need to do, I feel definitely okay about it. Do you? Yeah. I'm going to let it down a bit more, Aiden.
All right.
I want you to hold. I want you to come over this side. That side looks fine. Just want to keep it behind this.
Gotcha.
Don't jam your hands or anything.
Keep them away.
Just keep it away from that. We're going to try to keep behind that.
That side's good.
Not bad. Not bad.
Okay.
What's the transmission look like? We could bring that up a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. You got your wrench. You can see where it's at, can you, sweetheart? Awesome. We'll get to put the weight on the front end of this car and see it go down a little bit. Going to be an easy thing to make a firewall for that. I think it's going to be an easy thing to make a firewall for. We've got it cut out like this and flat there. It'd be more or less just a be like Frenching something. You'd have a flat piece of metal, measure this distance here over to there, wherever you're cutting it out, take it over the brake and bend to 90. So you'd have shove a piece straight in, you'd have a piece coming out this way, then you take your marker, come along here and trace it off, butt weld it all the way along the edge, weld it all along the top. Seems like a pretty basic thing to finish off the firewall in this car. All right, Aiden, I'm gonna let this down some more. I'm just gonna let it down that side so it sits flush. Alrighty, now, basically, if you can adjust it just like that, that easy. We can shove it back some more. That just straightens it out in the tunnel. And let it down some more. Now, I want to put something across the frame to hold the transmission up just where we want it to go. It's going down a little bit, piece of square stock. Now, I'm going to jack it back up, Aiden, and I'm going to get you to get on your back. All right, see, actually, maybe you jack it up and I'll do it.
Sure.
Probably be the best thing. I know what I want, then I'll do it.
Okay.
All right, you jack it back up a little bit. Yep, it's coming up to second.
Yep.
Get down, Chad, get down. All right, I'm just putting a piece across. Stop it. So if I put that in there, is that going to stop that from falling? Or is it too long? That's too long. I'm going to cut this. Right there. That's good right there. Just going to cut that. And my glass over here. Now the front end on the Jaguar, the 84, has a complete subframe that unbolts from the car. I have not seen one in person up close yet, but from what I understand, what I've seen other people do or heard tell of or looked at when I seen the car, the subframe comes out of the car all complete with all the suspension and everything. It just slides up underneath, would slide up underneath this chassis, and there would be tabs where it bolts to. And that's basically why it's a friendly front end to use on something, because it would bolt up underneath the car, and you could weld tabs to this chassis to bolt it to. Do not know if it would fit in this car or not. Do not know. But basically what I'm thinking is I can make it fit by modifying or cutting the chassis or welding tabs on the chassis to apply the front end. That's what I'm thinking. It's almost like a Crown, newer Crown Victoria front end, the aluminum front end they put in the 60s Ford trucks. Exact same thing. I'd have to make a couple brackets. But the engine, what I'm thinking is the cross member would go underneath of the chassis. I'm thinking where the engine is back so far, we would be fine. I'm not sure about the cross member yet. I'm not sure about that. But we'll just leave the cross member there. And we're just kind of mocking it up to where it's going to go. We obviously can weld mounts on the side of the chassis to make it work. If this cross member does not work, we're not going to weld it in, but we're going to set it there. We're going to set it there. So for when we get the front end, which is hopefully soon, we'll be able to put the front end underneath of it, and then we'll mock it all up together. We're not going to weld anything in yet and be serious about it until we get that front end. But I want to see where the engine goes. off your sound, sweetheart. I gotta... Alrighty. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna leave that right there because that's where the bolts are for the transmission mount. Wow, that works so easy, so nice. So lovey-dovey. So basically to bolt the transmission in this car, all you would, I'm gonna leave that like that. Let's drop it down a little bit, Aiden. Is it in the center of the hole, the transmission?
I would say so.
Okay. Are you able to let that down slowly, the weight on that?
I can do that.
Okay, just go slow.
Just watch your hands.
Okay, no, I haven't got my hands, no, I know. There we go. Are we still in the center of the transmission? I guess it doesn't matter, it's holding it now.
Tighten it back up.
What?
Tighten it back up.
That frame is something else underneath this car. You know, it's quite something else. Then we got a hole there. In the center, looks good.
All right.
See, that'd be so easy. The cross member comes like this. I put a piece across it, drill 2 holes in it, and the transmission bolts right in. We have the engine that's right there. Lovey-dovey, that fits so nice. Lovey-dovey. Baby's gonna touch me? Touch me, baby, touch me. So basically, I'm liking where the engine is right at the present moment. It probably can go back a little bit. It probably could go back even a little bit further. Where this is like this, and what I'm saying is a piece of, you measure from here to there, bend a 90 on it with, say, at least longer than that. You'd shove it in there. You'd weld it along here, along top, and then you'd come over here with a marker and trace this. Then cut it off, and then you'd weld all the way up along there. Then your firewalls, all one piece. Like a pretty simple thing, eh?
Yeah.
You'd have to make a pattern that goes down over top of your transmission. That's where you start making your tunnel. But basically, that's pretty well it. If we want the engine to go down in further, we can either cut this off here, slide it down here, cut this off, weld it that in there, cut that one off, slide that one down in there. Then this is your mount now. If this mount does not work for the front end that we're going across, which I think is going to be no problem whatsoever, if that does not work, we can weld a mount that welds on top of the chassis that goes there. I have a couple of those. But basically, that's what we're doing. We're just going to leave that in there, just like that. That's sitting in there nice. That's not going nowhere. We'll take the weight off it. Come on now. We're going to get the weight on the car. Hope the car goes down a little bit. Didn't go down any. Wow. Get on the other side, Aiden.
All right.
You heavy son of a gun, you. You dropped her. All right, so there's down, I guess, sort of where it's going to go. Come up a little bit. I see what I see right now. The engine's kind of leaning up a little bit. So what I'm saying is, what I'm thinking is this cross member here, for where that transmission is, I like it where that's at. This would have to be cut off. If you look at it from the side angle, the engine's kind of laid back a little bit. So I'm thinking these would be cut off, and you know exactly where to cut them off.
Yeah, right flush with it.
Right flush with there, and then weld them on. Keep this hooked on. You know, flush that out on the frame, then weld them on. Like you could, pretty basic, eh?
Yeah, just
and
jack it to
then you know
tight.
where your engine's at and the whole bit. So we're off to a good start. Putting the engine in, everything was kind of right in place, you know. This stuff here, when we get the front end from the 84, watch yourself, there's a grill behind you, sweetheart. When we get the front end from the 84, then that's when I'm going to cut this stuff off, pull that front end out. We're going to have a complete front end that's self-contained with the coils and the springs and the shocks and everything. It'll be self-contained. We're going to slide that front end underneath of it, put the center of the wheel the exact same place the center of the wheel is now. And we will do that. We'll weld something there. We'll put something there so we know exactly where it's at. But we'll slide that front end up underneath this chassis, so all this stuff will be gone. all that stuff there. We'll cut that and remove all that stuff. We'll slide the new Jaguar chassis. We'll have a rack and pinion steering. We'll have disc brakes. We'll have all that stuff. And then we'll have to make our new steering for it, which is not a problem because the rack will be in place. And then we'll go from there. The engine that comes with the 84 is going for Jolene's car. That's going to be taken, scraped down, painted, and detailed, and put in her chassis, which we get over in the other building. And we'll be cooking with gas. We'll be doing quite a bit here in a short, very bit, I think. And that's where it's at. So it's pretty basic. You can come here, Aiden. I want to show you. Yep. There's a see that square tubing I put in right there?
Yeah.
Okay. Square tubing I put across. On that transmission, if you go down and take a look, there's 2 bolts. There's 2 bolts right there.
Oh yeah, okay.
See that bolt right there and 2 bolts?
Yeah, there's both of them.
Jolene's coming. She wants to take a look too. Everybody wants to take a look. There's a piece of square stock I put right there. It's just laying on this side of the frame and this side of the frame. There's 2 bolts right here for your transmission mount. So in all honesty, all you'd have to do is weld a piece of stock across from here to here, drill 2 holes in it, and bolt your transmission mount to it. That's how basic that is. There's your transmission mount without doing much work.
Cool.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
just weld a piece across, drill 2 holes,
and
bolt your transmission up.
Wow.
With your engine, we've already got our mount done. We just cut that off there. Cut that off there. We want to get a 3-degree angle maybe. And the only reason I think that they lean the engine back is so the oil runs
with gravity going down
to the back of the oil pan. I'm thinking that the oil runs would have a degree of the. Yeah, that's the only reason I'm thinking.
and flowing down that way for it.
Yeah, exactly. So you see how you can bolt the transmission there? The transmission mount's not on there yet,
No,
but that's where it bolts on. And that's where you weld a piece across, bolt it down.
You'd use those 2 bolts there?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the Then you cut these off, and then you'd mount the front engine where you want to mount that.
And then just weld it to the side of this.
Then weld it to the side of the chassis. Then we're going to take all this stuff, rip it off, all the steering, the bottom piece, the top piece, that piece, everything. And we're going to get a new subframe that comes across and has everything on it. We're going to lay it underneath the chassis and weld tabs to it to apply it to this chassis.
Okay, to put the top and connect to the bottom one. Okay.
So the frame is going to be on the top, and the cross member will probably go across the underneath of it, and we'll bring it up to connect onto this one.
Cool.
So we have a brand new front end, a brand new engine, and a brand new transmission mount, and so that's basically how to do it.
Brand spanking.
All right, everybody. That's what we're done for today. Thanks, everybody, for coming and watching, coming back. We got the heat on. I got her cranked up to 85. Fina's looking for varmints. She'll run here in a minute. She sees something. But anyways, everything's going good. Just wanted to try and put an engine in that. I wanted to take off the front end. I've never taken the front end off the Jaguar yet. There's a bunch of stuff that needs to be sandblasted. I have to get the door bolts in this side. We'll put the door bolts in so we can open the doors when it comes time to snip them open. I can see that the fender needs more work on the bottom on that side. I see a few things that need a bit of work, but we'll deal with that as we go. But basically, this is what's going on. I'm hoping that the people down the road sort of get me some stuff quickly, or on a fair bit of time, and I'll have some front end to play with. I'll have the Jolene's engine to play with. We'll get that painted. Oh man, we're cooking with gas. Come back tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll do something else.